Authorized Ford and Toyota dealerships serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial. Complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
This is For the Record with Orrettv Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrettv Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Wednesday, the 4th of September, 2019. I trust that everyone had an enjoyable, peaceful, restful evening and that you're all raring to go today. For those of you who are on the very busy roads of the Cayman Islands, and they are extremely busy this morning, we again urge you to be extremely cautious, ensure that you observe the rules of the road, and remember the life you save may be your own. In observing the rules of the road, there are speed limits on the roads of the Cayman Islands. What we don't see in the Cayman Islands is minimum speed limits, and maybe that is something that needs to be considered by the authorities when looking at the traffic law. And the reason that I say that is that while we don't want people to exceed the speed limit, in order for traffic to flow as smoothly as possible, thereby averting the backups, drivers need to know what lanes to drive in. On multiple occasions, you find in a 40 mile per hour zone, a driver is driving at 25 miles an hour and they're occupying the left lane. Fine, you're not in the passing lane. But again, we would want to encourage you to at least drive close to the maximum speed. Then a driver comes over into the right lane and he drives, or he or she drives, at 25 miles an hour, thereby backing up traffic. Now, we see the speed cameras on the road, the traffic police are out there, and one idea that I would like to throw out to them is that maybe you have an officer on a motorcycle and pull over those drivers who are driving in the right-hand lane at 25 miles an hour and advise them, warn them that they need to drive at least close to the maximum speed. The same way that there's an offense for you driving over the speed limit, there should be an offense for you driving under the speed limit when conditions allow you to drive at least 40 miles an hour. Now, no one expects you to drive 40 miles an hour when traffic is bumper to bumper. But when it is clear out there, we see it over and often in the morning, 6:15, 6:30 in the morning, one vehicle in the right lane, one vehicle in the left lane, both driving at 25 miles an hour in a 40 mile an hour zone and no traffic ahead of them. Folks, it can't work that way. And if you can't drive at 40 miles an hour, then you really need to be off the road. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the very busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Orrettv Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. 9 times out of 10, it is that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. And, of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261. And remember, you can also follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. Again, our prayers, and we have seen offers of assistance by the governor and the premier of the Cayman Islands. Our prayers go out to the people who are brothers and sisters in the Bahamas who have experienced a devastating Hurricane Dorian. Those of us in the Cayman Islands who were here during Hurricane Ivan, we know exactly what those people are feeling over there. Now, you see the photographs of people walking on the roads, wading through water, quite reminiscent of what happened here in 2004 with Hurricane Ivan as well. And it is good that we see the Caribbean and the rest of the world coming to render assistance to them as well. And I will ask my guest in the studio with me this morning, M.L.A. Mr. Ezzard Miller, to make some comments as well on the situation in the Bahamas. He may also want to mention a little bit or comment a little bit also on the traffic situation. Mr. Miller, good morning, sir. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, see you. And it's good to be here. Yeah, I too would like to express my concern and for the people in the Bahamas. I mean, like you say, we had Ivan in 2004, and we had it for, close to 24 hours or a little bit less. I can't imagine what it was like to endure that for the 50-plus hours that they did. And when you look at the photos of the destruction, it's awful. So we keep them in our prayers and hope for the best and encourage people here to be generous in their contributions to the various agencies that are trying to put together some relief efforts. I also agree with you with the traffic situation, is that it is just as important to encourage people to drive at a minimum speed as it is to encourage them not to exceed the posted speed limit, because it is frustrating and you know, we always say that if the first car behind the car that's holding up the traffic would just overtake, the rest could follow. What happens is that car, the second car, won't do. So some guy who's 9 or 10 cars back decides he's going to cross everybody, and then everybody's at risk for oncoming traffic while he's doing that. So I agree that we need to have some consideration because, I mean, the traffic is just awful. Yesterday morning I left home at 6 o'clock and got to town at 8. This morning I left at 5 minutes to 6 and got here at the studio 10 minutes to 7. We're now meeting the traffic at what we call Lorna Station in Bordentown. And, you know, all the changes we're making, all the improvements we made to the Linford-Pearson Highway seem to have been to naught, because before we were meeting the traffic down at Northward Junction, right? And it doesn't seem to help. So we need to look at some kind of alternatives for mass transportation. We got to think outside the box now. The government accepted some motions earlier this year to talk about limiting the importation of cars or putting certain restrictions thereon. Nothing has happened. I'm sure that there have been hundreds of cars have been imported since that. So, and it's totally amazing. It's difficult to understand how the traffic can be so bad when school is open, because the whole summer it was 20, 35, 40 minutes coming into town, you know. But now that school is open, is it that many people who are actually taking their kids to school, even though government is providing transportation? Maybe it's time to say to the private schools they need to bus the children too.
Good point. Very good point. Yes.
But we got to find solutions, and the solutions is not building additional roads, because unless we build a bridge over Hurleys, that's going to be the bottleneck.
Well, I'm told that may be what's coming next because of all of the development that is going on in the Grand Harbour area there, and the number of condominiums and businesses that are being established, being built in that area, that's going to create even more of a congestion, including all of those units that are being built on the seaside.
I don't know how they got planning permission, but anyway, it seems like the CPA, I got St. Paul in my district. You know that a piece of land is too small, but yet they get approval to put these, numbers of apartments on them, and then we have the problem with the roads and everything else. Well, the proposal that was made for the cruise port by the captains, Cayman captains who know what they're talking about, included a road over some of the South Sound water coming back in further down in South Sound. And if you could take the traffic that's going to the school out that way, out of Hurleys Junction, maybe that'll help. I don't know, but I know what we're doing now isn't working. I know that.
Yeah, maybe we should require some of those condominium owners on the seaside, instead of using cars, they should be required to use boats.
Yeah.
Okay, time for us to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. When we return, the conversation with M.L.A. Mr. Ezzard Miller will continue.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
In February 1994, the Cayman Islands saw the historic first knighting of Sir Vassall Johnson after a civil service career spanning nearly 50 years. Although he personally credited expatriates James MacDonald and William Grundy for their architectural work in the design of the various company laws of the 1960s, it was Sir Vassall who has been credited with being the steady force behind the Cayman Islands' rise throughout the world of international finance. Born to East Indian parents in Jamaica in 1922, Sir Vassall moved to the Cayman Islands with his mother in 1934. He began working as a clerk in the court in 1942, and after serving in the war efforts, rejoined the civil service and began his steady climb through the government ranks. In 1972, Sir Vassall was appointed the first financial secretary, which he held for 10 years, and remained on the board of the Monetary Authority for many years after.
Radio Cayman's historical facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
$540 months.
16,425 days.
394,200 hours.
45 years.
That's how long we've been committed to serving you, and we won't stop there. Over the years, we have proudly grown with Cayman, making a difference in the community. That's why we're here, to stand by you.
We are Cayman National.
And we thank you for standing by us for 45 years and counting.
I'm going to Vamp Motors to test drive the new 7-seater Rush.
They have some really sweet deals going on now, not true?
Yep, on SUVs. And they sweeten the deal by giving you a warm oven-baked cookie with each test drive.
Better test drive more than one, just to be sure.
Take a test drive for a sweet surprise this month at Vamp Motors. Test drive any SUV and receive a freshly baked cookie. It's our way of saying thanks for dropping by to check out our huge sale on every SUV in stock. Save up to $4,400 during Vamp's summer SUV sale. That's every SUV in stock on sale for thousands off or cash back. Sweeten the deal only at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health. Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Cayman, get ready for this year's 2019 Fidelity Fun Run Series. Join us opposite John Gray High School for the first 3 Saturdays in September at 7:30 a.m. for an exciting 2-mile run. Whether you're a serious competitor looking for a fun family activity or you want to take an early stroll, the Fidelity Fun Run Series is the event for you. Strollers and pets are welcome, and we've got trophies up for grabs as well. Register today for the races on September 7th, 14th, and 21st. And get your Fun Run t-shirt. To register, visit CaymanActive.com for more information.
In 1996, Rotary Club Central led the way initiating a disaster fund to prepare and assist our community toward recovery. The Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands then expanded this valuable instrument, the Rotary Cayman Disaster Fund. Thereafter, Rotary District 7020, a group of 86 clubs over 10 countries in 16 islands across the Northwest Caribbean, grew this idea, the Rotary District 7020 Disaster Fund. Today, this Rotary Central idea has worked relief and recovery, assisting communities throughout this region. Rotary, with you before, during, and after. Rotary, connecting the world.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrettv Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, none other than M.L.A, Mr. Ezzard Miller. One of our listeners has responded to comments about minimum speed, and they have written and said, as far as I know, this is not a problem in Cayman. We have a huge problem with people driving well in excess of the speed limit. For example, persons driving 40 plus miles per hour in a 30 mile per hour zone. Check Crew Road between Grand Harbour and the roundabout at Linford Pearson. Unlike the UK and perhaps other countries, we do not have passing lanes in Cayman. You can overtake in either lane. To the best of my knowledge, the speed limit is maximum speed, and drivers are expected to use their discretion in regards to road conditions, example, weather, and other factors. It is not a requirement that you drive at the maximum limit if it feels unsafe. So that's a person's comment. And I would have to take a look at the road law. But I believe that there is something fundamentally wrong if you're driving at 40 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour zone, unless there's something wrong with the vehicle. There are reasons for setting.
It frustrates people behind, and at least the road rage. One of the things that but I mean, but the normal expectation here is that you cross on the right, you overtake on the right, even though it's a two-lane thing.
Yeah,
but it might not say that you can't cross on the left. The normal expectation is that you overtake on the right.
On the right, yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay. A few things I want to talk about. Let's talk about the UK and what's happening over there. I was glued to, logged on to the UK Parliament website and watched the debate live yesterday. Of course, when it came to the vote for the introduction of a bill, the government lost that vote. So today, again, a vote will come forward. I see now in the one of the newspapers, I think it's the Guardian newspaper, where some of the politicians are already claiming or showing their frustration because it appears as if in the House of Lords they have accused the peers there, the Tory peers, of wrecking tactics over the bill to delay Brexit, because of course the bill will go to the House of Lords and will be debated there as well. And it seems as if that the Conservatives have already tabled more than 80 amendments to the Labour motion should it pass in the House of Commons. Then we see also today in the courts in Scotland have ruled that there's nothing wrong with the legality of the prorogation of Parliament, and what the judges basically, or the judge basically said there, that is something between the politicians and the people of the UK, not something that the courts should involve themselves in. That sounds a little more like the Bush Al Gore situation with the U.S. Supreme Court in the United States, as well. So it looks like there's going to be a battle at hand, and I believe at the end of the day that I still honestly believe that we're going to end up with early elections, despite the fact that there are those within the Tories who do not want it, as well as those within Labour who do not want it, while there are some who want early elections as well. It doesn't bode well for the UK, either way.
I mean, the whole Brexit turmoil that exists is because the referendum was so close, and the country is basically divided right down the middle, and House of Parliament is the seam. And the other thing that seems to get a lot of people, what they call themselves, Remainers and Brexiteers. The Remainers is that they're convinced that the Brexiteers voted on misinformation about how easy it was going to be, about all the benefits that was going to happen, and now that they've been trying to do it, they find how difficult it is going to be. I don't understand their rationale for wanting to leave the EU. Britain was, at one time, the world's greatest superpower, and there was huge declines in the British international environment. And then they went and joined the EU. What was it, in the 80s? Somewhere around with Margaret Thatcher. No? I'm not a big historian. I think so.
1983, I believe it was, somewhere around there.
And since they joined that, they've risen to the 5th largest economy in the world. Now, who do they think they're going to replace if they come out of the European Union? I don't know. And it seems to be that the whole philosophies and all of the understanding, the honoured rules, unwritten rules that need to apply to the Westminster style of government, i.e. collective responsibility. Because what happened to the Prime Minister Boris yesterday was basically what he did to Theresa May when her cabinet members voted against her.
Okay. Correction there. Ireland and the United Kingdom acceded to the it was then called the EC, European Community, 1st of January 1973. 1973. And Gibraltar and Greenland also joined at that point in time as a part of the UK and Denmark.
But I mean, what the point I'm trying to make is that England was struggling as a economy.
Yes,
that's the reason they joined.
Yes.
I think it would be difficult to debate whether that they have not gained economically. Now, the other idea of Brussels and making laws that apply to them seems to be of great concern.
Mm-hmm.
But they have people sitting in the European Parliament who part of these decision making.
Mm-hmm.
Not a majority, but it's going to be interesting to see. And I don't even know that an election is going to solve their problem unless one of the parties comes out and you get a party that campaigns to Brexit and one that campaigns to Remain. And there's a clear distinction between the two. Then I think the election will solve the problem because it'll be just like another referendum. And if those who support leaving win, then they'll have a majority and they will leave. Those who support Remain win a majority in election, then they will stay in.
Yes. For those of our listeners and viewers who enjoy political trivia, I should also point out to you that Edward Heath was the Prime Minister in 1973 when the UK acceded to the European community. Time for us to go to our 8 o'clock news.
I got my notice last night of the governor here prorogue in this parliament. Or legislative assembly, not yet a parliament.
Are you going to challenge that one? Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now is 7:59. This time check brought to you by Price Right.
Price Right is Grand Caymans warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Caymans warehouse shopping superstore.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Caymanbrack and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Access. Information. Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Karsley Fuller. Cayman assistance to the Bahamas will be coordinated with regional partners and provided after needs are clarified now that the storm has passed. Cayman has already offered air support from the RCIPS Air Operations Unit, although government says it may not be required as, quote, significant air support is now being provided by the U.S. and U.K. authorities. An offer of medical support is also being made, and needs are being confirmed with the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency. Government is also considering offering a Cayman Airways relief flight to deliver necessary support. In a written statement, Premier the Honorable Alden McLaughlin says, quote, "It is vital that relief efforts are coordinated effectively by the international community and major humanitarian NGOs." He goes on to say providing financial support and ensuring regional partners have access to Cayman's equipment and other physical assets, should they require them, is the best way the country can support the people of the Bahamas at this time. His Excellency the Governor Martin Roper has added that the collection of unsolicited goods by the public and organizations can harm relief efforts following disasters such as this. He is urging the public to instead offer financial assistance to relief organizations like the Red Cross to enable appropriate and targeted assistance to be effective. In the meantime, the Cayman opposition members have been following the progression of Hurricane Dorian across the Caribbean, and in particular the devastation on the islands of the Bahamas. Leader of the opposition, the Honorable Arden McLean, says he has been in touch with the Premier and has asked members of the opposition to, quote, be prepared to assist in local relief efforts. And local relief efforts are gathering steam. Island Heritage has made a, quote, substantial donation to the Red Cross Hurricane Dorian Bahamas appeal. John White, Group Chairman and CEO of BF&M Limited, parent company of Island Heritage Insurance Company, says, quote, "At Island Heritage, we stand ready to do our part in beginning the process of rebuilding. not just through our donation in support of the work of the Red Cross, but by promptly assessing and processing claims once these start to come in. In regional news, rescuers have begun to reach areas of the northern Bahamas devastated by Hurricane Dorian, with aerial images showing a trail of destruction. Prime Minister Hubert Minnis said some areas had been, quote, decimated and expected the current death toll of 7 would rise. The hurricane winds that hit the Abaco Islands equaled the highest ever recorded landfall, and Grand Bahama also suffered severe damage and floods. Dorian has moved off north but is still threatening the eastern U.S. seaboard. Johnny Miller, the mayor of Fernandina Beach in Florida, told CNN that the city is prepping for the worst. The city, which is situated between the ocean and a river, is home to more than 12,000 residents and has created large sand barricades across vulnerable swaths of beaches in preparation for the storm's arrival. Miller said his main concern was getting people to evacuate before the bridges close. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with David Austin. Following months of pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong, the territory's leader, Carrie Lam, has formally withdrawn a highly controversial bill that would have allowed extradition to mainland China. Ms. Lam announced a range of other measures that appeared to be designed to soothe unrest in the Chinese territory. Amid political tumult in Britain over Brexit, opposition and rebel Conservative MPs will seek to rush through legislation to try to block the possibility of leaving the European Union without a deal at the end of October. The Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, has promised to seek a snap general election if MPs approve the legislation. The Zambian authorities say South Africa must bring to a halt the wave of xenophobic violence that's killed at least 5 people. A South African government minister had earlier said that the problem could only be solved by mutual efforts. The chairman of the embattled Hong Kong airline, Cathay Pacific, has announced he'll retire from his position. John Slosser is the latest senior executive to leave the carrier after it attracted scrutiny from Beijing when some airline staff appeared to participate in ongoing pro-democracy protests. The online retail giant Amazon's Indian unit says it plans to replace single-use plastic in its packaging by June 2020. And an auto rickshaw driver in the Indian capital Delhi has been fined $450, nearly 40 times his day's earnings, for violating traffic rules. The government has increased penalties in an attempt to reduce road accidents. BBC News.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Sewerage customers may consider installing a sewage backflow prevention device. These devices are designed to allow the sewage to flow in one direction only, away from the property. Property owners are warned, however, that these devices require regular maintenance and inspection. Should you choose to install one, installation should only be carried out by a knowledgeable and licensed plumber. For more hurricane preparedness tips, visit the Water Authority's website at www.waterauthority.ky or follow us on social media.
There are plenty of reasons to be a Logic customer. There's lightning-fast internet connectivity. There's the great overall customer experience. And now, you can improve your Wi-Fi connectivity with Logic Boost Wi-Fi for free. With Boost, you can extend your freedom to stream, game, and download seamlessly anywhere in your home, like your patio or your underground lair if you have one. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
I can do this.
We believe in you.
Each day brings hope.
Every day, millions of people celebrate their recovery from addiction and mental illness while others begin their journey. Be a part of it. Share your strength, support, and hope. Join the Voices for Recovery. Together, we are stronger.
Join the Voices for Recovery and attend one of our upcoming workshops to learn how you can support someone impacted by substance abuse. District workshops will be offered during the month of September in West Bay, Georgetown, and East End. For further information, contact the Department of Counseling Services at 949-8789.
The Weather Report is proudly sponsored by Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Thinking of decorating your home or your apartment? Then Super Stitch is the place for all your household needs. We have sheets, comforters, bathroom accessories, curtains, and a whole lot more. We are the original curtain store with curtains for every room in the house. Some special now curtains for $10 a panel. Yes, just $10 a panel. Come see us today at Super Stitch. Super Stitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
As a good morning, let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 84 degrees. Relative humidity is 84%. Barometric pressure 29.93 inches and rising. The wind is west-northwest at 4 knots. Overnight low temperature was 81 degrees. Synopses indicate light southerly winds and slight seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours due to a slack pressure gradient over the northwest Caribbean. Radar images show isolated showers north of the Cayman area moving towards the north. The National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida is issuing advisories on Hurricane Dorian, Tropical Storm Fernand, and Tropical Depression 8. Hurricane Dorian was located near 29.6 north, 79.6 west. It's about 90 miles east-northeast of Daytona Beach, Florida, or 135 miles east-southeast of Jacksonville, Florida, with maximum sustained winds of 105 miles per hour and is moving north-northwest at 8 miles per hour. Tropical Storm Fernand was located near 23.1 north, 96.8 west. It's about 80 miles southeast of La Pesca, Mexico, with maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour and is moving west at 6 miles per hour. Tropical Depression 8 was located near 19.6 north, 33.6 west. It's about 680 miles west-northwest of Cabo Verde Islands, with maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour and is moving northwest at 10 miles per hour. The system poses no threat to the Cayman Islands. If you need additional information on these systems, please visit the National Hurricane website at www.nhc.noaa.gov. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of early morning showers, and temperatures will rise to the low 90s with a heat index of 105 degrees Fahrenheit. And winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be smooth to slight with wave heights of less than 2 feet. And the forecast for tonight, calling for mainly fair skies with a 20% chance of showers, and temperatures dipping to the low 70s tonight. Winds will be southeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be smooth to slight with wave heights of less than 2 feet. We're presently at a low tide, and the next high tide will be this afternoon at 2:29, low tide tonight at 8:54. Sunset 6:36, sunrise tomorrow morning at 12 minutes past 6, and the outlook is calling for light east to northeast winds from Thursday morning.
Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center was the proud sponsor of the Weather Report, your one-stop shop for all of your household items, craft items, jewelry, beads, and decorations, and much more. Call Super Stitch at 949-2833 or email customer care at superstitch.com.ky.
Thinking of decorating your home or your apartment? Then Super Stitch is the place for all your household needs. We have sheets, comforters, bathroom accessories, curtains, and a whole lot more. We are the original curtain store with curtains for every room in the house. Some special now curtains for $10 a panel. Yes, just $10 a panel. Come see us today at Super Stitch. Super Stitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Work will soon launch Jobs Cayman, an online system that allows registered users to access job postings created by registered employers. This system offers a better approach to facilitate Caymanians in finding employment and allows employers to search for qualified and skilled Caymanians who are seeking employment. For more information on the registration process and what you need to register, visit www.worc.ky. Work, leading the pursuit of full Caymanian employment and economic prosperity for all through service excellence.
The Breeze Fusion is back Saturday, November 2nd.
Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run and a 10K run for half marathon trainers. Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCVO. Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studios. Registration is only $15 if registered by September 30th. And all early registrants enter to win a Cayman Airways voucher.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Saturday, November 2nd.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again, and as we look to the east, heavy traffic, bumper to bumper on Shamrock Road and also on the Linford Pearson Highway. Gonna need a lot of patience this morning as you head on down to Georgetown. And also traffic coming off of the Linford Pearson Highway and Agnes Way is busy as well. And slow-moving traffic on Crew Road. Coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, moderate flow of traffic. And as we look what's happening on Huldah Avenue, traffic steady but flowing, and moderate flow of traffic on Thomas Russell Way. And look towards Eastern Avenue and Godfrey Nixon Way, traffic is flowing moderately. And traffic moderate as well on North Sound Road. Coming from the West Bay 4-way stop, moderate flow of traffic, and traffic heading towards the West Bay 4-way stop is light traffic. In and out of Georgetown and Shedden Road, not looking too bad as traffic is flowing pretty good. Edward Street, moderate flow of traffic. Now, if you've seen accidents or incidents on Cayman's roads, give us a call here at Radio Cayman, 949-6990. Have a good morning and buckle up.
In Italy, to live is to eat. That's why Subway's introduced the new ciabatta collection. 3 delicious new sandwich flavors on the most famous Italian ciabatta bread. Choose from the chicken pesto, garlic steak and provolone, or the classic Italian with ingredients like salami, spinach, fresh mozzarella, tomatoes, onions, banana peppers, and balsamic sub sauce. All on freshly baked ciabatta bread with its light but crispy outer shell and distinct flavor. Ciabatta, try it. Only at Subway. For a limited time. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Hey, are those new glasses on Will?
Yeah, we went to Optical Outlook. Wham, bam, easy exam. Finally, an exam he could pass. And we had the glasses the next day. Easiest part of our back-to-school shopping for sure.
Book your child's eye exam today at Optical Outlook. Call 746-2020. Get half off a complete pair of glasses with any student's eye exam, now extended to September 14th. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook, located in Caymanian Village.
Terms and conditions apply.
Always ensure that food preparation utensils are washed with a strong detergent and rinsed in hot water in the event that they have made contact with flood water. Boil silverware for 10 minutes and immerse glass, porcelain, china, and plastic items in a solution of hot water and 10% chlorine bleach before use. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
For the record, with Orrettv Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrettv Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning M.L.A. Mr. Ezzard Miller. Before I turn the mic back over to Mr. Miller, one of our listeners has written in relation to the discussion that we had about minimum speed limits and which lane is the right, the proper passing lane and things of that nature. One of our listeners has written and said there is something called, quote, obstructing the normal flow of traffic, close of quote. And that is what your scenario this morning does, i.e. two cars side by side driving slow, holding up traffic. So
it's an offense.
Yeah.
But I guarantee the traffic police don't know that.
Well, they probably know it, but, very, very difficult to enforce. And that's why I believe that the use of the motorcycle traffic cops, to
they need to be more
go on the
involved in
roads,
the traffic flow to keep it going.
Yes, and see what's impeding the flow of traffic, and warn those drivers of that. They need to know. There's a driver, for instance, in the mornings at 4:00 in the morning, when there's few drivers on the road coming from the eastern end of the island, and has the hazard lights flashing, driving down by themselves every morning with the hazard lights flashing. For what?
Yeah, exactly.
For what?
Again,
it goes to show you the lack of knowledge in terms of the operation of a vehicle. Some people only know how to steer it and how to press the gas pedal. Not too sure of that. How to press the gas pedal, how to press the brakes. I know as a cyclist, you after a while your experience, it just, certain things that you learn on the road. And if there's a vehicle behind you, especially, and there's another vehicle coming in the opposite direction, and if you do not hear the change of the cadence in that car's engine behind you, you know that you better give that guy some more space, because he's not slowing down to observe the fact that you are on the left lane and that there's a car coming. So it is very difficult or impossible for him to give you that extra space if he wants to go a little bit closer to that white center line to cross. So when you hear that, I just pull over to the side of the road.
Yeah, that's experience.
Okay, Mr. Miller.
Well,
you spoke about you got a notice about prorogation, of the M.L.A. as well. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, we let me see if I get it right. Now, we have a session that is usually from, May, I guess, we start in June, because remember we were sworn in after the election, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a session is a year long.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of each year, the Legislative Assembly is prorogued, and it is reopened with the used to be with the governor's speech, right? And it used to be annually, basically. We did it in February, and election was in November. So the House has to be prorogued every year. And what normally happens in terms of business for the House is business that has not been completed kind of falls away and has to be regenerated the next time around. And then there's supposed to be an official opening, with usually with the Guard of Honor and all that sort of stuff. And that's what he's doing up in the UK. It's just that the way he's asked to do it is he's doing it for, I shouldn't say ulterior motives, but it's something similar to that, right? And trying to stop Parliament from intervening in his determination to take the UK out of the European Union. But I got my notice last night that the House has been prorogued. Now, at the end of the 4-year period, the House is dissolved. Remember, so it's a difference.
Okay.
But my thing that I'm trying to get done now is I want the government to do something about boating regulations to improve the safety of boating around all the islands.
Yes.
But particularly in the North Sound, where we seem to be having a huge amount of problems. I took a motion to Parliament in 2015, which was seconded by Mr. the Honourable Art McLean, our leader of the opposition, and the government accepted it unanimously. But nothing has been done about it, right? And during that debate, we raised our concerns about the safety aspect of it and pointed out that it was an accident waiting to happen. And we certainly have had several fatalities in the North Sound in particular since that. So I think there's a certain amount of urgency. And what I would prefer to see the government do is to simply, whether they do it under the Cayman Islands Maritime Authority, but sign up to the international regulations for preventing collisions at sea, which was first done in 1972, right? And then it was improved again, and there were some amendments to it under the International Maritime Organization, commonly called IMO. And I'm fairly certain that, although I speak subject to correction, but I think that the Cayman Islands Maritime Authority will have some relationships with this International Maritime Organization. So that's why I'm suggesting that it's already there. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? But I would like to see some teeth put in it. You know, some people have been suggesting that it's already taken care of under the Port Authority law and regulation. Problem with those is that they don't. If you don't do it, there's no offences created, and we need to. And a lot of it has to do with having safety equipment on board as opposed to actual safety in navigation and stuff like that. So I really believe that there's some urgency in this, and this shouldn't take a long time. You know, I keep telling you that I'm either blessed or cursed, depending on how you look at it, because I served between 84 and 92, and now between 2009. You know, 84 and 92, we had a problem in government. The success of Cayman was because we were Taloa. We dealt with the issue. We solved the problem, right? We did it quickly, and we did it efficiently and effectively. Now, it just takes forever and ever and ever and ever to get anything done, you know?
Well, I would qualify that by saying it depends on what it is. Because, for instance, when and not to say that they're not important, when it comes to financial regulations, things that involve the OECD, things that will keep us off the grey list or the black list or whatever, then there is quick action for it. Why can't we give other issues such priority?
And just like how we can get those laws and regulations written, we should be able to do the same thing here.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, and particularly when we've already got it prepared for us in a manner that's presentation, all we got to do is adopt the convention, you know, and then put in force either through the Maritime Authority, who, as I understand it, already has some inspection capacity. Because they boats coming in here, they do it for other countries, and they do it for boats registered under our flag. I think the time has come, OC, simply because of the numbers involved now, that all boats should be registered in the Cayman Islands. And there should be a fee for it so we can maintain the navigation aspects of it.
If you have to register your pirate, why not your boat?
Exactly. And I mean, we pride ourselves in our maritime heritage, and we should be. There's good reason for it. And we have a proud history in the maritime environment. But here we are. We're managing to find $200 million to build a pier that, in my view, we don't need. But we can't find a couple of $1,000s to replace the lights on Round Point Channel. And there's no commitment to get these things done, to maintain them. And this is safety issues, you know. Water sports zones. Created in 1987, I think it was 1987, still not marked within a kind of buoy, right? We quick time go out and mark the interaction zone for the tourists out around. They get all that done. But the water sports zones now for Caymanians who want to water ski and knee board and wakeboard and all that, there's no priority to that. No dive zones in Northside, created in 1987. Still not marked, although the minister got up in Parliament to stop me complaining and said, that consider it done. Well, I need to tell him it's still not done. Right? That was 18 months ago. And, you know, how difficult is this stuff? They tell me, well, the coordinates were not necessarily correct. Well, let's fix them. In 1987, I had no GPS, you know. Right? Sorry. But now you can, right now, the DOE can go out there, and I have gone with them because we did it with marks on the shoreline. Show them this is the mark, this is the western boundary. It was this rock here. It was this tree, this coconut tree that we use, right? then just dial it in on your GPS and correct the regulations and get them marked. But that's not what it is, you know. What it is the lobby by the dive industry is more powerful than the lobby by the fishermen on our side. It's as simple as that. Because everybody in Cayman need to understand how things get changed politically, you know, right? We don't get up as politicians and have a dream last night and decide we can do this. We do things on the basis of people lobbying us to do it. The government operates the same way, right? And there's just not enough of Caymanian fishermen and even the recreational boating. We need the channels to be properly marked, right? All like the entrance to Governor Sound, that channel, it should be properly marked and lighted. You know, all the excuse they've given in the past is, well, they don't want to light Old Man Bay Channel properly or Kid a Flat Shop because the drug people can use it. Oh boy, let me tell you something. They coming in, they don't need no channel, you know. They don't need no channel lights.
But then what about the legitimate users of that need that safety feature there as well? Do you put their safety at risk to prevent, there has to be a balance. So, you know, where does that balance lie?
And the balance has to be on the side of safety.
Yes.
Well, you'll say, well, if you got the green light blinking, well, you know, if you're heading to land, the red light should be on the right side of that because right to turn in. But there's not a lot of people that know that, right? Because there's no requirement. And I mean, I sit at the Rum Point. I take my family down in my little boat every Sunday. And I marvel at these high-powered boats that are coming in there. And there's no rules, right? And yet this motion called for anybody who owned a boat, I think it was over 21 feet, and had more than 150 horsepower on it, I think it was. You had to go to the Port Authority and do a test, right, to show that you know the rules of the road. Mm-hmm. Because if you're out there in the North Sound, you know, trucking along at 35, 40 knots, and we're not talking about catboats now, you know, right? Then you got plenty of time to put one skull in the water and change our direction or one little paddle on a stern, right? We're talking about powerful boats traveling at speeds 35, 40 miles an hour. There's not a whole pile of time to react if something goes wrong. Yeah. And we need to do it, and the Marine Police need to be given these regulations and the authority to enforce them. And it should be just like how we do for traffic offences. Mm-hmm. If you break the rules out there, here's a ticket.
Yep. Okay. We have a commercial break and we have a caller. We're going to take the commercial break first. Ask the caller to hold on. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the short commercial break.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
In 1996, Rotary Club Central led the way initiating a disaster fund to prepare and assist our community toward recovery. The Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands then expanded this valuable instrument, the Rotary Cayman Disaster Fund. Thereafter, Rotary District 7020, a group of 86 clubs over 10 countries in 16 islands across the Northwest Caribbean, grew this idea, the Rotary District 7020 Disaster Fund. Today, this Rotary Central idea has worked relief and recovery, assisting communities throughout this region. Rotary, with you before, during, and after. Rotary, connecting the world.
Miss World Cayman Islands presents Destiny, Saturday, September 7, 2019 at the Harkwell Theater. Cocktail hour starting at 6 p.m. with the pageant starting sharply at 7 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at eventpro.ky.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrettv Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're going straight to the phone lines as promised. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Okay, and good morning, Mr. M.L.A.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I think it's very important that you all start getting more serious about individuals operating certain boats, just like you do with vehicles. I remember the gentleman, the Norwegian gentleman that got killed in the North Sound. I remember that morning when he first took out that boat. He was leaving Dragon Bay. That was about 8 o'clock in the morning. I saw him going out in that boat the same day that he got killed.
Yeah.
And he had a gentleman operating it while they were leaving Dragon Bay. But I hear that when they were coming back in, the gentleman that was operating the boat was preparing the buoys to dock the boat, and at that same time then he let the gentleman, the owner of the boat, take over. And that's when the accident occurred. And I think that boat had on 4 300 horsepower engines. So there definitely has to be a law put in place for individuals to be able to operate certain boats. And when it comes to traffic, when you come in from the governor's house and going towards the public beach, that corner right there by Harbour Heights, we've had some serious accidents right there. People driving straight into the public beach area. There's been, I think, a fatality with a young lady who, when the car caught on fire, she was badly burned and she died after a week afterwards, I think. I was concerned and wondering why there isn't a crash barrier there. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, caller. Mr. Miller?
No, I agree with most of what so I was saying. That is a very steep turn down by the on approaching the public beach, and crash barrier might be of some help.
Okay. Talk a little bit about the Carbo area again. See if you have any update for us on two things. The bathroom facilities
coming slowly.
Yeah, we're wondering whether or not they're getting paid by the hour or what, because and the road widening. Now, after the rains the other day, I mean, not this Sunday past, but the Sunday before that, after those rains on Saturday night in that area, the whole area was flooded on Sunday. And then, of course, this Sunday when we rode through there, more potholes again as a result.
It's terrible.
Yes.
It's in the hands of the NRA. I sent in an email a couple of weeks ago asking for an update. It was supposed to be done over the summer, was my understanding. Well, the summer's nearly done now, and nothing has been done. So I'll have to inquire from them what's happening, because it really needs to be sorted out. It is in a terrible state, but you know what the problem has been was the encroachments on the road. But all of that supposed to have been resolved. Some of them, if you notice, are riding there. Some of them have actually cleaned out some of the areas that needed to be cleaned out.
Yes.
The bathroom facility is progressing slowly but surely. So I hope we should have it ready for the what we used to call the tourist season by 1st of December. and it's a facility that's needed. But the road is and I will contact the NRA as soon as I come off the show and try and find out an update on when they're going to actually start. Because but again, this is the problem. You just can't go in there and hot mix what's there.
Yes.
The whole base needs to be redone and properly built, and some of it, unfortunately, the level has to be raised, because some of it is actually below sea level.
Right.
If you notice carefully, south of Finger Key, in a little tide at all. That's not always necessarily fresh water from rain, and the kind of king tides that we're having now with the full moon coming up, some of that is salt water.
And you have to recognize that most of that is reclaimed land as it is. So you have to ensure that base is there. That's one of the reasons why, and I don't know if the road engineers realize this at this point in time, because many of them were not even born when some of these roads were originally built. Take, for instance, Eastern Avenue, in particular, between the junction where the Rubis gas station is and down to the Kirkholme Center or even farther. That was all swampland.
Yeah.
Now, when you drive or ride through there, it is bumpy, rolling all the way. And the reason for that is that there is not a firm enough base, because they continue to add asphalt on what is particularly swampland. I, again, not a road engineer, not a civil engineer in any way, but I believe that there is good cause for areas like that to put down some sort of a concrete base, and then you put your aggregate, and then you pave for stability. And you will find that by doing that, you don't have to go back every 4 or 5 years and repave it because it has the surface has given way.
And the other side of it is that none of those roads were designed for the size trucks and stuff, rolling material and loads that we're putting on them now. So, but I'm hoping that we will get a start soon on the Waterkey Road, which goes to Kaibo.
Okay. I want to remind our listeners, our phone lines are open if you want to call. That is quite obvious by the fact that we did accommodate another caller before. Remember the numbers, toll free, 1-800-534-8255. Also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990. If you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us, for the record, one word, for the record, at candw.ky as well. Talk a little bit about your your party.
Yeah, the People's Party.
How's it coming?
Well, it's progressing slowly, but surely. We have the group that was set up to try and draft a constitution has basically completed its work. We have a document that's been circulated to the original people that were invited to try and get this thing off the ground. So I'm hoping to have the constitution approved at tomorrow's night meeting, September the 5th. And once we get the constitution approved, then we will move on to actually going through the process of getting it registered with under the elections law as a political party. We also will have to go through the whole process of registering it as a non-profit organization. So we will be in a position to open bank accounts. Because the financial requirements on audit and publications of audited and the transparency is very detailed in the Constitution. All of the foundation of it is going to be the 19 electoral district committees, which each of it will send 2 members to form a central council, which will coordinate everything. But the district are required to publish audit accounts before the 31st of March each year, and the financial year is January to December. The central council for the party must publish audited accounts, etc., on an annual basis. Because we think one of the things that we need to address is campaign finance and campaign finance reform. I have been unsuccessful in trying to get successive governments to address the election law, which is where we need to put it. In the absence of that, then we have to put it in the Constitution so that the public will at least know that the party is honouring the transparency that is necessary, I think, for electoral financing and campaigns. And then we hope to get all of that done by the end of December, and then we will start to form the various electoral district committees January going forward.
So you will be active in the sister islands as well?
Oh, yeah. The goal is to have 19 electoral district committees. And this is not a situation where me and a couple of friends are going to sit down in a room and select people to run for the party. The Constitution requires that process of identifying a candidate, getting a candidate approved, there's a process that you have to go through to be approved as a candidate, to be adopted by the electoral district. That is confined to each electoral district committee. It is their responsibility to have approved candidates and adopt candidates for electoral purposes. And so the whole idea is we're trying to engender a grassroots control of this at that level.
Okay.
As opposed to having the Central Council select and appoint candidates,
Will any specific emphasis be placed on attracting more women, to be involved in politics, either at the grassroots level or, we continuously hear complaints, and I think they're certainly justifiable complaints of the number of women who are in our legislature. Anything being done to
we don't have anything.
Despite the fact that
right,
you want to have a selection process that is unbiased at the same time. Anything being done to encourage more women to be involved.
The Constitution is not gender sensitive or gender emphasis. Right?
Okay,
it's up to that committee. I would like to see more, but at every election, we have plenty of women on the election. It's just that whether the men don't vote for them or the women don't vote for them, but they don't get elected, right? So the problem with trying to write into something like a part of the Constitution that kind of gender emphasis is, where do you stop?
Yeah.
Right? Do we get the next thing then is people want to know ethnicity, right? And I want to make sure that, it gets into this kind of proportional representation and all the computations and logarithms that goes into that kind of analysis. So what we're trying to do is to write something that has sufficient rules to make sure that it is those people, because for instance, to be a candidate in a electoral district, you have to be proposed by 10 residents of that electoral district.
Okay.
You don't have to. We respect the Constitution, which does not specify that to be a candidate you have to live in that electoral district. Again, that would be the preference, right? But you can get approved as a candidate for an electoral district in which you do not live, but it has to be moved by 10 people in that electoral district committee, and then it goes through the process. And if there is more than, you can actually have more than one person apply, right? And then there's a primary runoff situation where there has to be an election at the electoral district committee. There's not a situation where you got 3 or 4 people coming forward and then a party council is going to make a decision who's the best candidate. All of that is decided at the electoral district level.
Is there any significance in terms of the choice of 10 as opposed to, say, a proportion, a percentage of the registered voters in that electoral district?
No
yes, sir.
Huge significance. We just pick 10 people. If you figure if you can't get 10 people,
then something,
out of 200 or out of 5,000, right?
Yes.
To nominate you. And again, we felt that if more than one person wanted to be in a particular electoral district, then that should be a decision that is made by the members of the party in that electoral district, not by some central committee imposing decisions. So we're trying to keep it as democratic espresso, and we have built in my political mantra of participatory democracy. Now, it's up for the people to participate, You have to come and sign up as a member of the party, and you have to get involved in the and selection process. But it also requires regular meetings, right? The Constitution requires that the executive of each electoral district must meet monthly. There must be a meeting of all the members every quarter so that there's ample time for communications and ample opportunity for people to participate in the decision-making process and addressing the issues not only in your electoral district but national-wide as well.
Got you. Good time for us to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. With M.L.A., Mr. Ezzard Miller will continue after this break.
Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511.
Cayman, get ready for this year's 2019 Fidelity Fun Run Series. Join us opposite John Gray High School for the first 3 Saturdays in September at 7:30 a.m. for an exciting 2-mile run. Whether you're a serious competitor looking for a fun family activity or you want to take an early stroll, the Fidelity Fun Run Series is the event for you. Strollers and pets are welcome, and we've got trophies up for grabs as well. Register today for the races on September 7th, 14th, and 21st. And get your Fun Run t-shirt. To register, visit CaymanActive.com for more information.
I'm going to Vamp Motors to test drive the new 7-seater Rush.
They have some really sweet deals going on now, not true?
Yep, on SUVs. And they sweeten the deal by giving you a warm oven-baked cookie with each test drive.
Better test drive more than one, just to be sure.
Take a test drive for a sweet surprise this month at Vamp Motors. Test drive any SUV and receive a freshly baked cookie. It's our way of saying thanks for dropping by to check out our huge sale on every SUV in stock. Save up to $4,400 during Vamp's summer SUV sale. That's every SUV in stock on sale for thousands off or cash back. Sweeten the deal only at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road.
At Logic, we make things better for our customers. It's why we're offering free Boost Wi-Fi. With Boost, you get improved Wi-Fi connectivity everywhere in your home, so there's no more dead zones. The only people we're not making this better for is parents. Because now, with seamless Wi-Fi in every room in your home, go to your room isn't really the punishment it used to be. Sorry about that. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
Support our port, support our tourism.
The cruise berthing facility will not have any upland development, which means cruise lines will not own or operate any retail or commercial space within the cruise terminal. This is a win for Cape Ann.
Looking forward, looking bright. Support our port, support our tourism.
For the record, with Orrettv Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrettv Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, M.L.A, Mr. Ezzard Miller. One of our listeners has written in and said, good morning, Mr. Connor. Could you kindly inquire of Mr. Miller if he has any knowledge of any changes or alternatives being made for Caymanians renewing the U.S. visa in Kingston? Are we able to now renew our visas without an appointment like Tobago, etc.?
I know that the government and the Deputy Governor has been working on with the U.S. visa situation in Jamaica to try to get some changes. I am not aware what they've succeeded in. I think one of the changes they were trying to get was that certain age bands would not have to go to get their visa renewed, and if you had a visa for X number of years consistently, you wouldn't have to go to do an interview, although it is a new visa. But because you've had one for, say, 20 years, 2 10-year visas, you wouldn't need to go do an interview to get that renewed. But I don't know what has come out of the discussions. I'm not aware that any changes have been made.
Right, and we do know that I think in general, I think it's somewhere around about the age of 80, anywhere between 80 and 85. Once you've reached that age, you do not have to appear in person. And I think it may also be for minors, possibly for minors as well. Yeah. I'll try to see what I can find on their website in that regard. But you did mention, off the air, and maybe we can talk about this a little bit, the information that is coming out, of government, despite the fact that we have government information services, despite the fact that we have communications staff in almost every ministry, you're not particularly satisfied with the information that people are receiving.
The flow of information from government is atrocious, really. It's like mating elephants. It's done at high altitude with a lot of screaming and hollering, and it takes a long time to see results, right? And there seems to be a lot of wings flapping, but no birds flying. And I think even if you don't succeed when you're doing these things, the public needs to know. There needs to be regular communication with the public. I understand that there are certain norms and guidelines in negotiating that is not all done in public. I think a lot more of it can be done in public and should be done in public, but that seems to be the norm. But I think at least the public needs to be given updates on a regular basis of things like this, which affect a lot of people, more people than you would imagine.
Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. With your indulgence, Mr. Miller, and you probably would want to, comment on this a little bit as well. There's one of our callers who continues to talk about the need for trade schools and advocate for it. And, I want to really applaud that person for being consistent, in his calls, for that. And I'm going to share 2 articles with you and with our listening audience. One is on the 25th of November, 1965, in the Trade Winds newspaper. And the second one is on the 4th of August, 1966, and they're related. So from November 1965 to August 1966, almost 9 months apart, right? In the first article, 25th of November, Teacher Mark Field, who was then the principal of the Cayman Islands Government Secondary School, announced that while the sympathy and well wishes of the Hotel Association, the Global Seamen's Union, and the University of the West Indies are anticipated to assist in the compiling of a syllabus for the Institute. It was called the Evening Institute, that would give courses in the evenings, and it was well subscribed to, despite the fact that at first not many people really picked up applications and they thought it wasn't going to go through, but it did, and it was well subscribed to. In addition to that, there was another article in relation to the Hotel and Tourism Association allowing Mr. Rudy Seltzer, who at that time was the manager of Club Inferno, and Club Inferno those days was owned by Colin Patton. They would allow Mr. Rudy Seltzer to teach courses and for the hotel side of things, and he did that in 1965.
I remember now in those days, before you go any further, right? All the waiters, waitresses, cooks, chefs were all Caymanian. Many of them trained, because I can remember when I think it was Chef John, was one of the first fullest certified hotel chefs.
Yes.
I think it was Old Garden Reach.
And these people, when they graduated, they were going to receive a certificate, or a diploma, and they were basically assured of employment in the tourism industry.
It's only
once
the advent of what my brother, who's been in tourism, calls corporate tourism, that we come up against this thing that all these Caymanians must have all these certificates, and we bring in people to take the job that don't know, because all of these were. I mean, we can go back to when we started our seafaring days. Captain Tom Dias taught my father navigation. That's a technical school. He had a technical school. Mr. Lewis on Eastern Avenue,
Lewis Solomon, yes,
right? Used to teach people. Remember, and we've had many things. But those days, for instance, in the construction industry, right? You could go on site, and you will remember that you probably work like I did occasionally in your summer holidays on construction, and if you could get a wheelbarrow to run, man, you was an important fella. That was almost like driving a Cadillac. But you graduated, you were allowed to bring the blocks, and you were allowed to bring the cement, and if you saw interest, the mason would show you how to cut the cement and put it on the block, right? And maybe a couple of months later, weeks later, you would actually be allowed to put blocks in the place.
Exactly.
You were taught the trade. That don't happen anymore,
So we're almost to the top of the hour for the headline news. So when we return from that, then I will share with you the article of those trainees from that hotel training school, their graduation, and I will call the names of, read the names of all of those persons. Some still with us, some may not be any longer with us, but I will share that with you as well to show you that in 1965, 1966, how successful we were then in preparing Caymanians for the working world.
There's a lot of trade courses being taught in Cayman right now.
Oh, yes.
If you can't get qualified, your fault.
Yeah. Okay, folks.
You don't need a multi-million-dollar building to do it.
Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Department of Planning and the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure is hosting an information session on the planning application and permit process at the Family Life Center tomorrow from 9:30 until 11:30 a.m. If you're interested in attending, you need to confirm your attendance by emailing info@planning.gov.ky. Rescuers have begun to reach areas of the northern Bahamas devastated by Hurricane Dorian, with aerial images showing a trail of destruction. Prime Minister Hubert Minnis says some areas have been, quote, decimated, and expected the current death toll of 7 would rise. Dorian has moved north but still threatens the eastern U.S. seaboard. Boris Johnson will call for a general election on October 15th if Labour and rebel Tories succeed in blocking a no-deal Brexit. He challenged Jeremy Corbyn to put his policy of dither and delay over European Union withdrawal to the British people. Mr. Johnson needs the support of 2/3 of MPs to trigger the election. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrettv Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrettv Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, M.L.A. Mr. Ezzard Miller. Before we went to the break, I was sharing information with you about the Evening Institute and one of the courses within that Evening Institute that was being run by teacher Mark Field, who was the principal at the secondary modern school at the time. And then on the 4th of August, 1966, in the Tradewinds newspaper, there's an article that announces that the graduation ceremonies for the first class of the hotel training school in dining room service, sponsored by the Cayman Islands Hotel Association in cooperation with the Evening Institute, were held at the Galleon Beach Hotel on Monday, the 1st of August. Certificates were presented to the following by Mr. John Hatch, president of the Hotel Association. Of course, Mr. John Hatch was the owner of the Beach Club resort at that time. So here are the graduates and those that received their certificates. Orrettv Anglin, Ellis Anglin, Gwendolyn Anglin, Joan Eleanor Bawden, SMA Bush, Donna May Powery, Orrettv Connor, and I must declare an interest there, my sister, Anna Douglas, Andy Naomi Ebanks, Cicely Ebanks, Celia Ebanks, Madonna Ebanks, Hermina Hurlston, John Hodson, Clarice McFarlane, Margaret Nixon, Elmy Powery, Francis Samuels, Phyllis May Scott, you know her. Then she became Phyllis Moxham, and now she's, I'll leave it at that. She has a different surname, but we all still know her as Phyllis Moxham, most of us, or Phyllis May Scott. Christine Smith and Hyacinth Stewart. And the article goes on to say that these graduates will be given preference by members of the Hotel Association when hiring staff. And then it goes on to say that the Hotel Association wished to express their thanks and appreciation to Mr. Rudy Seltzer, who so ably instructed the class. He received several nice gifts from his students. Thanks are also extended to Mr. T.E. Macfield, who made the classrooms available to the at the Secondary Modern School. And it goes on to say, watch your paper for the announcement of the next class as well. Caymanians are an extremely incredible people. When we were poor, despite the fact that we were poor, we would always make sure that we find a gift to give to someone else to show our appreciation. And it probably was something. If we had to buy it for ourselves, we wouldn't buy it because we would say, I can't afford that.
Here's the other factor that's important in that group, right? When they went to work at Galleon Beach and places like that, they were earning $7 and $8 CI per hour. And if you gave them a tip to put it in their pocket, they'd have you nobody, right? Drinks were $1 and $1.50, right? Today, drinks are $10.50, $12.50, $8 for a beer, probably. And most of those institutions, and when you look at the ads in the paper, they're offering $4 US an hour, plus gratuities.
Yep. So that is the case. In relation to that. And
I went to the opening, cutting of the ribbon on Superior Autos, the new technical school. And there's several of those things, those institutions going on,
Yes.
Everybody seems to believe that we need to build another Clifton Hunter style building to teach technical and vocational. We don't. HaHa has been running a group for years, quite successfully, and we need to be.
And he keeps his numbers small to ensure that you get that
personalized instruction. But again, what we're looking for, instead of giving kudos to those and giving them help, right? Everybody's mandating that we must spend millions of dollars to put up a building,
edifice.
Right?
Yes, yeah.
And that's not the answer. The community college, I was listening to the president and the head of the technical section on Rooster yesterday morning. All the programs are there. We just voted last year $400,000 for Public Works to build a building at Public Works for their apprentice program and internship. Now, that $400,000 should have went to the community college, and Public Works provided the apprenticeships, the actual experience. But the reason we can't get drawings done at Public Works now or toilets repaired on our side is because they operate in a school. When we have the community college, UCCI is suffering because they don't have proper funding. We need to stop duplicating all these things and direct people in the right way.
Sure. We have two callers. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you all doing? I just put on the radio and we're listening a little bit there.
How are things in hell?
Yes, cooling off. So,
we're into September now.
I've all run consent cross there.
Okay.
Some of what you're reading, I'm well aware of that. I was in my time. Since that, we started a Marine Queen School, Captain Colby.
Yep.
And Captain Nate Solomon were teaching navigation. And it's all gone, as far as I know. Mr. Joe Wood and Leroy Friedrich were teaching engineering.
Yep.
And we also started revised the Marine Hotel Training School. And they were all scrapped later on. Could you all tell me why them two institutions was scrapped?
Economics, influence, cheap labor, being able to import cheap labor. I just told you that, when those people were going to work at Holiday Inn and places like that, they were making $7, $8 here an hour. The fact that we've managed to lobby the government, certain forces in this country, to close those schools down so they can say Caymanians are not qualified, although they're bringing in people who have no qualifications, but they're bringing them in at $4 US an hour plus gratuity.
Could not cut you off, could you tell me what government closed them off? Closed them down? They was going till 84.
Yeah.
It was going after 84. Them two institutions were going. They closed them since that.
Yep. But I think the biggest reason for closing them down was the lack of subscriptions at the time. But the reason people were not coming on as these people did is because they wasn't getting any jobs, because they were starting to bring in cheap labor from other countries.
All right. Well, I guess that's as far as I can go with that without mud in the water so much.
Well, if you want to muddy it up, go ahead, as long as we don't defame anyone.
No.
You and I both are familiar with water glass. We'll find a way to see through it.
You got it. I didn't want to replace those with.
Well,
no. Tell us.
A urine test. That destroyed
yes,
generation. You never get out of it.
I see what I see. You get your drift. Yes.
Yeah. But it's too late for that now. But
I think that one of the things that we need to address is the ill effects of when we had those draconian measures against drug consumption. And we need to go. I think the government needs now to go back and clear up all of those police records that were created on consumption, and decriminalize consumption. But it should go backward and clear up all those records as well.
Yes, sir. It should. Yeah.
Yep.
And
but
we
need to act. We need to act. We just stop complaining that it went wrong, and we need to do something to correct it.
Yes, we should never. Yeah, I see where you're coming from. But we should never did it until we got rehab centers, not send them northward. That was the mistake then, but I don't know how to correct that now.
Yeah, but the whole world went through that period of draconian anti-drug and consumption. You remember the zero tolerance in the United States and all that. And no country has spent more money and stuff on interdiction of drugs and got worse results. Drugs is cheaper in the United States today than they ever were,
Yep.
Same here. So we need to recognize now that was a wrong approach, right? I mean, I wrote the first national drug plan for this country in 1979, the emphasis of which was demand reduction through education. And you remember how the people beat me to pieces because I said we had to write off the generation who was already hooked on drugs because we couldn't educate them not to use it. We had to rehabilitate them, right? But that was the first drug plan anywhere in the world that was written on the basis of demand reduction as opposed to interdiction and arrest and jail. Mm-hmm. We don't have any now at all.
Okay. Caller, I want to thank you very much for that. We're going to take the other caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Good. I was refreshing to hear Mr. Miller on the radio.
Morning, sir. Thank you.
A sense of reason. I was listening to you all earlier regarding the channel markers. And one has to wonder if the Port Authority realizes the severity of those channel markers not being properly maintained. Because, I too have, I'm not a captain. I'm probably one of those North Sound captains. But I too enjoy the privilege of going out fishing. But it's not much of a privilege if you go out fishing and you're coming back in and you can't see the channel.
Yep.
I mean, it needs to be properly maintained. So what my suggestion to the Port Authority this morning is that instead of campaigning for the port, send your vessels out and maintain the channel markers, get the channel markers up where they all are illuminated as is required by any international standards. Get them up and running because it's really, really unbecoming to know that you can't enjoy the safety of going fishing at night. Yeah, in the day, everybody can see the channel in the day. And those of us who have the GPS can see the night too. But what about that little man that doesn't have that? So anyway, that's my gripe for the morning. Thank you all and have a great day.
Thanks, Carl. I mean, nobody can explain to me with the kind of money that the Port Authority makes. The government is bragging about they got $60 million, but we're risking our own people's lives because we won't put up a green light and a red light and make sure they're maintained properly.
Okay. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation with M.L.A. Mr. Ezzard Miller will continue, so please stay tuned.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Have you seen the latest? Cayman has been ranked the most expensive place to live. It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices at Ropers. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Clean up your spending with Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511. Ropers Janitorial also offers complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time. Ropers Janitorial, 949-2511.
Support our port, support our tourism.
So what are you saying, Brownie? You looking concerned about something?
It's okay. I hear some people talking about the new cruise burden thing that can cause a lot of harm in Georgetown and Hogstye Bay and even to 7 Mile Beach. They're saying it should be built some other part of this island. Now, what you think about that?
Well, my darling child, our old-time captains had good sense, you know. They know why they chose Hogstye Bay for the harbor. So why go someplace else now?
That's kind of true, you know. But what about the dredging?
Don't you worry, there'll be no dredging in Hogstye Bay. Them pairs are going way out in deep water, and they being built on pilings, so all the water and all them pretty fish will still be flowing back and forth.
That's okay. I'm feeling real good about this cruise birding thing now. This is a win for Cayman.
Sure is, Brownie. That's why Asuki supports the port and supports tourism.
Support our port, support our tourism.
For the record, with Orrettv Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrettv Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, M.L.A. Mr. Ezzard Miller. And no calls at this point in time. Okay, want to share with you release issued yesterday, I believe it was, by the government of the Cayman Islands, Tuesday, 3rd of September, Office of the Governor and Office of the Premier, and it speaks to the assistance for the Bahamas, and it's headline that the assistance to Bahamas will be coordinated, and it reads, His Excellency, the Governor Martin Roper and Honorable Premier Alden McLaughlin confirmed that Cayman assistance to Bahamas will be coordinated with regional partners and provided after needs are clarified now that the storm has passed. Cayman has already offered air support from the Royal Cayman Islands Police Services Air Operations Unit, although this may not be required as significant air support is now being provided by the U.S. and UK authorities. An offer of medical support similar to that provided to Anguilla in 2017 is also being made, and needs are being confirmed with the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, known by the acronym SEDEMA. It also goes on to say that government will consider offering a Cayman Airways relief flight to deliver necessary support. The Premier is quoted as saying, it is vital that relief efforts are coordinated effectively by the international community and major humanitarian NGOs. Providing financial support and ensuring regional partners have access to our equipment and other physical assets should they require them is the level is the best way that we can support the people of the Bahamas at this time. And it goes on to say the governor commented that, quote, I know that Caymanians feel a strong sense of empathy with the people who have been affected by Hurricane Dorian. As the Red Cross has pointed out, the collection of unsolicited goods by the public and organizations can harm relief efforts following disasters such as this. I would urge the public to provide assistance by providing funding to relief organizations like the Red Cross to enable appropriate and targeted assistance to be effective. I think this is a very useful announcement that the government has made. It tells what they're planning on doing and what the public shouldn't do as well. In this day and age, when you have the use of social media to defraud people and everything else, you
can't be too careful.
You can't be too careful in these situations. We got hammered when we rendered financial assistance to Dominica. People are still being critical of that move, as well. And there are those who say, well, there are many people in the Cayman Islands who could have used that $500,000
the totality of the volume of it.
Yes.
But that's a better. I agree with the government position. That's a better thing to do than to try to organize the collection efforts here of. Because they're having the same problem in Florida. I mean, a lot of places are being inundated with stuff and how to get it there. And even them are saying, it'd be better if you to give me $5 than to give me a case of water, because I can get more with your $5 than you can get at the store, because they can buy it wholesale and it's already pre-packed for shipping and much more convenient.
And while the actions are well intended, you know that there are much better ways of doing it and accomplishing.
There's almost no end to it. I mean, those people are going to need everything, right? Because just about everything is gone, right? When you look at the sheer magnitude of the devastation, I mean, what they're predicting, some 13 to 15,000 homes have either been destroyed or damaged beyond repair. I mean, that's catastrophic.
Okay.
And that's a lot of people to have to house today.
Yep.
Because you got to start today. You know? They've been without a house now out in rain and water for 3-4 days already.
Yeah. Because I've heard of one particular situation where I believe that there's a vessel here in Cayman, or was here, and it's called I think it belongs to a group called the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, which is a non-profit organization. And I think there was some indication that they had a vessel docked in the Cayman Islands, and that they were getting ready to take aid to the Bahamas as well. I'm not sure where that effort is at this point in time, but it is quite obvious that the government will be coordinating with its regional partners in that effort.
Over the last 2 years, I am aware that the UK has placed a lot of emphasis on disaster help in these kinds of cities. As far as I know, they have one, if not two, ships in the area that are designated specifically for hurricane relief. So, and has the necessary equipment. You remember we had one or two practice sessions down at 7 Mile Beach.
Yes. So Mounts Bay, yeah.
And they have the equipment that can assist, because the sheer magnitude of the cleanup alone to get the roads open and stuff like that, so that, you know, it's going to take some serious equipment.
Yeah, and the difficulty, the logistical challenge that they have in the Bahamas is that you have so many distinct islands.
They're all separated by water.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
really quite a challenge. So many things that they have to look out for that. Elderly people who have survived the hurricane, who are displaced from their homes, become susceptible, quite vulnerable at this point in time to, and we saw what happened after Hurricane Ivan here, that the death rate spiked after Hurricane Ivan. Not during the hurricane, but
right
after,
now,
because
just the
of
sheer
the pressures.
absence of proper medication.
Yes, yeah.
You know, and how do you get there? The hospital was all flooded, and stuff. So how do you get medical care and stuff to people? But it hasn't been done properly.
Yes.
Because you got to make sure that people are getting the medication that they need, not something that they don't need. You can't give it to the wrong person. It don't work very well like that.
Yes. And you also have to be guided by what the receiving country tells you, what it is that they require, what is there a shortage of, at this point in time. We will have to wait for that to happen, but no doubt that there will be an outpouring of offers of assistance.
Like Caymanians, it's obvious that the Bahamians themselves are very resilient, because you saw on American television yesterday they were already using their jet skis to go and rescue people, and they were launching their boats that they could float and walk.
They said, these are our people, they're Bahamians, we have to do whatever, we're not leaving one person behind. Now, the other downside to all of this is that organizations and people tend to have short memories, and after a few weeks or a few months, what you cannot afford to do is to forget and to leave those
BBI
people behind on their own.
They're over there fighting the UK government on the terms of the relief money that they need to rebuild the country.
Well, and not only that, and that occurred in 2017, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They still haven't accessed the $200 million loan guarantee. It's actually a loan guarantee that the UK is offering. That will give them...
Which, by offering that, right, and everybody thought it would have been an easy thing, and it's really designed to help you. They probably lost a lot of help from these international agencies that you would have gotten in the rebuilding process when they heard that they were getting $200 million, and they haven't gotten it. And are still struggling.
And not only that...
And they got a brush out of this too.
Not only that, the Premier, only a few days ago, Andrew Fahey, has now indicated he's going to the UK to talk about it, I think somewhere in this week and next week, to again discuss this whole loan guarantee. But he has indicated that he's considering letting the people of the British Virgin Islands decide whether or not they want to accept the offer, and do that by way of a plebiscite, by a referendum. Which means more and more delay.
Right. But again, we all believed that it was aid, right?
Yeah.
Which means we're going to help you. Giving me a loan that I can't afford, or putting conditions on it that it has to be all English contractors, it has to be all English material. Because, that's the thing that people don't understand about these agencies. I give you a personal experience. AIDS was a terrible thing. It still is, but it was in the 80s, right? And I wrote a national AIDS plan in 1980. And we went down to Trinidad to try and get some money from the European AIDS Organization, the World Health Organization. We managed to get, I think the total was $250,000, right? Because they considered us that we didn't need any help. But,
because of our GDP.
Anyway, long story short, I successfully argued that they committed, I think it was $200,000 or $250,000. So then, but that agent, I had to go through from the Switzerland, I think it was. It went to the UK. They took a piece off it, right? From the UK, it went to the Pan American Health Organization in Jamaica, I believe. They took a piece out of it for administering it, right? Then it had all these crazy restrictions on it, that it had to be we had to buy U.S. equipment because most of the funding was coming from U.S., right? So they finally, months later, sent somebody down here, and one of the things that I wanted put in was some. You remember those days we used to get the TV with the VCR on the bottom with, right? One unit.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So I wanted 5 or 6 of them to put in the hospital for education purposes, to talk about the disease, to education people about the diseases, how to prevent it, etc., etc., etc. So the person was here, and we said, can we get 3 TVs? Well, that had to go to Phoenix, I believe it was, in the States to be approved, and had to be American-made products, right? I remember looking at Dr. Kumar and said, listen, I think O'Connor will sell them, right? Here's a check that I gave him, go down and buy 2 and put in there. Because it although they offer this aid, there's a very complicated and bureaucratic process that it goes through, all of which is supposed to prevent misuse of, but actually winds up aiding and abetting the misuse thereof.
I
think it's terrible that the people in BVR are still waiting on the aid from the UK.
But I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, because I think this is instructive, because we could be faced with a situation at some point in time. And
when we were in trouble on Iowa, nothing.
And just, when was it? On the 2nd of September, the minister in charge of the overseas territories, or the director for the overseas territories, Merrick, I think his name is Ben Merrick. He wrote a letter to the premier of the Virgin Islands, and he asked the governor to ensure that it was published publicly so that the public could read the contents of it. And I'll share some of that with you afterwards.
From the time they put that caveat in, it's not intended to help the poor people.
Exactly. Yep. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation will continue, so please stay tuned.
In 1996, Rotary Club Central led the way initiating a disaster fund to prepare and assist our community toward recovery. The Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands then expanded this valuable instrument, the Rotary Cayman Disaster Fund. Thereafter, Rotary District 7020, a group of 86 clubs over 10 countries in 16 islands across the Northwest Caribbean, grew this idea, the Rotary District 7020 Disaster Fund. Today, this Rotary Central idea has worked relief and recovery, assisting communities throughout this region. Rotary, with you before, during, and after. Rotary, connecting the world.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Radio Cayman 3 to 6 mix on the weekdays. Brought to you by
Cayman Insurance Center, serving the community for 45 years. Don't take chances with your family's future. Call Denise Brown at 814-7229 or Michael Webster at 925-5433. Fitness Plus and Train with Dre. Getting in shape has never been easier with the mobile fitness app by Train with Dre and the new Eco Power Sport Art equipment.
Every day.
Every day.
All the time.
All the time.
Visit fitnessplus.com for more information.
Also brought to you by Merengue Town.
It's time to feel the rhythm, time to feel the vibes. It's time for Merengue Town.
Work will soon launch Jobs Cayman, an online system that allows registered users to access job postings created by registered employers. This system offers a better approach to facilitate Caymanians in finding employment and allows employers to search for qualified and skilled Caymanians who are seeking employment. For more information on the registration process and what you need to register, visit www.worc.ky. Work, leading the pursuit of full Caymanian employment and economic prosperity for all through service excellence.
For the record, with Orrettv Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrettv Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, M.L.A, Mr. Ezzard Miller. Before we went to the break, spoke about a letter that was written by the Director of the Overseas Territories in the UK, Mr. Ben Merrick, written to the Premier of the British Virgin Islands, Honourable Andrew Fahey. And it had to do with a loan guarantee that was offered by the UK government for the British Virgin Islands after the devastation by Hurricane Irma, and I believe it might have been two hurricanes that actually affected them at that point in time. And I'll just read you portions of the letter. Mm-hmm. It says that, firstly, I would like to note that there has been no change in the conditions. These simply ensure that all recovery measures are accountable, represent value for money, and are in line with international financial best practices. As I'm sure you're aware, the UK government and the British Virgin Islands government have been in regular dialogue on this. And on the other points you raise, as I'm sure your team has been made aware, he goes on to say, as you highlight, it is the choice of the British Virgin Islands government as to whether or not to use the loan guarantees to access funding to rebuilding. This offer was made in November 2017 with the sole intention of supporting the Virgin Islands to lead its own recovery. It is not the intention of the UK government itself. It is not the intention that the UK government itself lends money to the Virgin Islands. simply that under the guarantee, banks will offer lower interest rates, subsequently saving the territory vital money. Depending on how much the government chooses to borrow, the difference in interest payments could amount to tens of millions of dollars. It goes on to say that the Recovery and Development Agency, RDA, exists. This is one of the things, one of the entities that was established by the UK government to assist with the recovery in the British Virgin Islands. He goes on to say that the Recovery and Development Agency exists to provide the British Virgin Islands government a dedicated agency by which the territory can deliver the approved recovery to development plan. It is misleading to state that the UK is demanding BVI hand over almost full control of the management of the territory's finances to the Recovery and Development Agency. The British Virgin Islands government is responsible for public finances, upholding the principles of sound public financial management. It is the BVI's RDA implementing BVI's recovery to development plan. The British Virgin Islands government sets the priorities. This model is and internationally recognized as the most efficient way to implement recovery at pace and is replicated in other Caribbean countries facing similar recovery challenges. As part of its support to BVI, the UK government has also provided £10 million of direct assistance to support the technical and administrative costs of the RDA on top of the significant support already given by the BVI's to the BVI's recovery. So the UK has set up this RDA. They have laid the rules down, but they're saying to the British Virgin Islands, this is your baby.
Yeah,
you take care of what you're allowed to take care of. But the UK has already set the rules in terms of it. And you can understand why, despite the fact that they have not given direct loan to the British Virgin Islands, it is a loan guarantee. When you guarantee a loan for someone,
it's your loan.
It's your loan. You're accepting responsibility for repaying that loan if there's default. So aren't you then going to ensure that the money is spent wisely, that it can be monitored, so that burden does not fall on you? I think it is incumbent. We have a
agree with all that.
We have a tendency to criticize the UK at times. It would be great if you didn't find yourself in a position that you had to get a loan guarantee from the UK government. And that's why I say that Cayman, when I first made the statement on this, that we here in the Cayman Islands, we are fortunate. We have said that we have reserves of over $200 million. We want to ensure that that money is secured so that when there is a rainy day, we have something to fall back on.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we got what we call rules for fiscal responsibility.
Yes.
For the same thing. And I support all of that because most of that was already done, just wasn't being practiced. Mm-hmm. But here's my difficulty. In the scheme of things, why does the BVI, as a British territory, need to take out a loan?
Precisely. Yeah.
Why aren't they helped? And because this is not something that they created. Uh-huh. This is not man-made. Mm-hmm. Why do they have to go and borrow money from other bodies which they're not likely to be able to access, even with a British guarantee, or it's going to take a long time? Why wasn't the recovery funded as aid to the country with all of those caveats and stipulations on it, mm-hmm. so that it was done? You know, if it was $50 million to do the airport, make sure that the $50 million went on the airport and it didn't go, you know. Mm-hmm. But it should have been grant aid as opposed to loans.
It goes again to show you the hypocrisy mm-hmm. of the British system. Mm-hmm. In one breath, they tell you, we offer you British citizenship. You are British citizens. You're just like us. Mm-hmm. But then they turn around and they treat us differently. Yesterday, listening to the debate in the House of Parliament in relation to the effects of a no-deal Brexit, and about how sheep farmers would be affected by it, how there were fears that if they were unable to export their products to EU countries, they would have to cull a lot of the sheep. Mm-hmm. And by culling and doing different things, they would
lose money.
And not only that, disrupt the whole productive process as well. But the ministers were there given assurances that, we will provide financial support in the event of anything. But they don't do that to their overseas territories, to their colonies. Mm-hmm. They don't do that to them, which are supposedly a part of the UK. In one breath, they say that you are a part of the UK. So again, the whole hypocrisy of that. We're neither fish nor fowl when it comes to the UK.
Whichever way they want us to be, whenever they want us to be. We are not allowed to be one or the other.
Right.
Whichever one of these we want you to be at this particular time.
That's what you are. Yes.
And they treat us the same way.
Yes. It's just like they have never, ever apologized for slavery, their involvement in it, and the horrors of it. But yet we see, just last week, I believe, or it might have been this week, the Germans apologized to the people of Poland for the atrocities, during the war. They have done that, but yet the UK government still refuses to apologize for their involvement and the atrocities of slavery. We have a caller. Let's grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning again, gentlemen.
Good morning again, sir. How are you? Again.
Okay. They say that the British pound has dropped again, and it hasn't been this low since 1985. What is the value of the British pound now then?
Well, I don't know how much it dropped by. I don't know. I don't have that kind of information in front of me.
We'll get it for you. Just continue to listen, and we'll have it for you. We'll tell you what the value of the British pound is now.
Okay, thank you.
In relation to the U.S. dollar or to the euro, which one do you want? Do you want both of them?
Yeah, both of them be okay.
Okay, we'll do that. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we'll give you that information. Please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
Come on, get ready for this year's 2019 Fidelity Fun Run Series. Join us opposite John Gray High School for the first 3 Saturdays in September at 7:30 a.m. for an exciting 2-mile run. Whether you're a serious competitor looking for a fun family activity or you want to take an early stroll, the Fidelity Fun Run Series is the event for you. Strollers and pets are welcome, and we've got trophies up for grabs as well. Register today for the races on September 7th, 14th, and 21st. And get your Fun Run t-shirt. To register, visit CaymanActive.com for more information.
I'm going to Vamp Motors to test drive the new 7-seater Rush.
They have some really sweet deals going on now, not true?
Yep, on SUVs. And they sweeten the deal by giving you a warm oven-baked cookie with each test drive.
Better test drive more than one, just to be sure.
Take a test drive for a sweet surprise this month at Vamp Motors. Test drive any SUV and receive a freshly baked cookie. It's our way of saying thanks for dropping by to check out our huge sale on every SUV in stock. Save up to $4,400 during Vamp's summer SUV sale. That's every SUV in stock on sale for thousands off or cash back. Sweeten the deal only at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road.
In 1996, Rotary Club Central led the way initiating a disaster fund to prepare and assist our community toward recovery. The Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands then expanded this valuable instrument, the Rotary Cayman Disaster Fund. Thereafter, Rotary District 7020, a group of 86 clubs over 10 countries in 16 islands across the Northwest Caribbean, grew this idea, the Rotary District 7020 Disaster Fund. Today, this Rotary Central idea has worked relief and recovery, assisting communities throughout this region. Rotary, with you before, during, and after. Rotary, connecting the world.
The Breeze Fusion is back Saturday, November 2nd.
Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run and a 10K run for half marathon trainers. Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCVO. Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studios. Registration is only $15 if registered by September 30th. And all early registrants enter to win a Cayman Airways voucher. The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run. Saturday, November 2nd.
Hurricane Ivan was a storm that changed the Cayman Islands. On Wednesday, the 11th of September, you're invited to join the Water Authority as it marks the 15th anniversary of Ivan. View the Authority's special exhibit highlighting the impact of the storm and the strides the Authority has made to become stronger and more resilient. Get important preparedness information to help keep you vigilant this hurricane season, all while enjoying lunch. Join the Water Authority in remembering Hurricane Ivan. It all happens on Wednesday, the 11th of September from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Water Authority office.
For the record, with Orrettv Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrettv Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning with M.L.A, Mr. Ezzard Miller. If you are involved in currency trading on the stock market or whatever, the £1 sterling currently equals 1.10 euros. Or $1.22 in US. So if you wanted to purchase a pound, you would pay 1.10 euros for it, or $1.22 in US dollars, 1.1 in euros for it at this stage as well. So, and it will continue to fluctuate. It will continue to fluctuate for quite a while until this whole issue is settled as well. And it is not likely to be settled anytime soon, unfortunately. Based on your viewpoint, and I know you've been to the UK, in relation to the constitutional discussions and stuff like that. Do you see any of this immediately impacting the Cayman Islands or the Cayman Islands government's ability to have dealings with the UK and things that are important to us? Are they being sidelined as a result of that, or is the UK able to walk and chew gum at the same time?
I think they should be able to do both. But the last conversation I had with the Premier, he was still hoping that the constitutional negotiations were in place, basically due to the fact that Lord Ahmed had remained overseas minister. And as far as I know, the rest of the stuff is being dealt with that we need in the interim period. So I am not aware that there's any hold up or any neglect thereof because of the Brexit stuff that's going on.
Okay, I think we're going to grab one more caller before we close the show off, because I also want to give you, Mr. Miller, to cover any other topics that you would wish to cover, any information you want to pass out to your constituents or others. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, good morning, O.C.
Morning, how are you?
Good morning, good morning, Mr. Ezzard.
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Cool, yeah, cooking some rice and chicken, yeah.
Yeah. That yellow one, though. That yellow one.
No. I want to find out, curious, in your team, is you running about it in the block?
Oh, yeah. We hope to have district, electoral district committees, 2 in the BRAC, 1 in each constituency, and it's up to the constituent to produce a candidate. So we'll be contacting you.
All right. Just fishing and testing the water.
Yeah. You never know.
All right.
All right, man.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Thank you very much, caller. Yeah, you got some interest there already. Yeah.
Oh,
What dates are we looking for in terms of a launch, and where more details will come out?
Well, once we get the party registered, one of the things that I will do is we'll put the Constitution, once I can afford it, in certain compass, so everybody in the public will have access to the Constitution. There's nothing that needs to be secret. The kind of rollout plan is to spend the first 4 to 6 months of 2020 setting up the electoral district committees, so that they can get their officers and their delegate elected, and then hopefully sometime over the summer next year to constitute the party council, right? And then start to look for getting all the candidates adopted and everything, with the launch of the whole party stuff in January 2021 and roll right into the election campaign.
So in terms of the timetable for things to happen, if I wanted to become a member of the organization of the party, when will that take place?
Well, as soon as we get it registered with the electoral office, then because there's a form that you can fill out, so anybody can sign up at that, start sign up at that point.
Okay. District news and
well, our senior citizens program is back now to every Tuesday. We took a little break during the summer and stuff like that. And as we were talking to earlier, the urgent thing in my constituency now is to get something done about Border Key Road. And I'm working waiting on a response from the NRA as to some kind of time frame and start date. And I hope all of the notices to all the landowners in that area who had infringements in the road have been gone out and all that sorts of stuff, because that was supposed to have started from March or April. So they should be in a position now where they can start putting equipment in, and what's not moved, we will move and send them a bill for the time period it takes to move it. And if they don't pay it, put a charge on their property,
Yeah, it seems as if most of the infringements are not on those properties that are on the seaside. When it's on the other side for some reason. I wonder why.
Well, look, the problem we have there is that the developers of Cayman-Kai never envisaged 3 and 4 story buildings and 7 and 8 bedrooms. It was always intended to be small cottages, and the lots are 100 by 125. And these people are building these huge buildings, or there seems to be some breakdown in planning when they offer setbacks from the street, right? And they don't take the road marks. And I can guarantee you that Mr. Dice had a concrete marker on every one of those lots.
Yes, I remember.
I was a landowner. I know. And what they do is they put the fence up on the other side of that markers, right? And then they put a hedge on the outside of the fence so that they just encroach on the road.
Yeah.
I stop as the representative and try to tell the people that you can't do this, and they insult me, so I drive off. So we're gonna put bulldozer on it now. And some of them not even have enough space, I don't think, to park a car between the what is the correct roadway and the building, And the driveway is going to be certainly several inches, if not feet, above it, depending on how much we raise the road to do it. So it's a big job, and I don't think that we should let people off the hook, because they knowingly, you can't tell me that they didn't know where the road was. They knowingly infringed on the road, and I think that the roads law allows for them to be prosecuted and fined, and they should be, in addition to paying for the cost to get it moved. Because we don't have trouble finding my little guys because they take 2 conks,
Now, I know that you being familiar with that area, has the ownership and the mentality of people who own up there changed since the days of Don Dice and what was intended?
Chalk and cheese. The Cayman-Kai development in that community has always been good during the decades from the 60s coming forward to Northside. And Northside has been good to that community. When we had then it was all Northside people who were doing their landscaping, doing their maintenance work, doing their management, all that kind of stuff. There was a symbiotic relationship. Now it's all economic, and they bring in these garden or companies from Georgetown or wherever, or the districts, and the Northsiders are being left out. And they'll dump the garbage, and in the Bay Road they see it. You ride down the regular, you can see on those side roads how much garbage and trash and things they're dumping it. And the relationship between the Northside community and Caymankai has deteriorated rapidly over the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, you get the situation now where you never had that in the past, objection to putting up a restroom facility on a public beach. Mm-hmm. Before, they would have been encouraged to do it because they wanted, exactly. And their so-called justification that they don't want it because they're going to reduce the value of the land is, but I'll deal with it. I'm not afraid of it.
Okay. Well, Mr. Miller, I want to thank you very much for being here this morning. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Island, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are brothers and our sisters keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. I also want you to be particularly mindful of the people of the Bahamas who have experienced a life-changing ordeal over there. We want you to follow the instructions and the advice given by the government in terms of the support that you offer and the way that you offer that. No doubt there will be some of us who have family and friends there who may want to directly assist them, and you certainly are encouraged to do that as well. I also want to encourage you to continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15, but Sterling is on vacation, and I believe that this week, last week it was Patrick Smith and Mr. Awi. This week it is Mr. Raymond Singh, who is guest hosting for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And as usual, we always ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.